B2B SaaS companies tend to spend a lot of money on, say, for example, with Google search ads, pay-per-click. And the person has to spend the first few seconds just trying to figure out, okay, what is this trying to tell me? YouTube is trained all of us when we see that little play button, we gotta click it because it's just our brains have been wired into it. But video is a huge distraction. It's a distraction from actually converting because your audience has a finite amount of attention. Your job and your homepage has one and only one job. It's to hook your audience. It's not to get them to buy. It's not to explain your mission statement. By the way, no one cares about that. This is B2B SaaS. It's not to explain why you're even better than your competitors. It's not to tell people why they should invest in you. It is just to get them to stop scrolling.
Hey, welcome to the Message Market Fit podcast. I'm your host, Chris Silvestri, and if you're new here, this is a show where I chat with B2B SaaS folks in marketing, product, growth, and founders about how they join the conversation already happening in their customers' minds. We dive deep into their thinking, their systems, and their playbooks to see how they empathize with their audience and speak to them in a way that resonates, so they're compelled to take action. Join us and learn how you too can shape your messaging strategy and write copy that truly resonates and differentiates you. I'm super excited about my guest today, Sahil Patel. Sahil is the CEO of Spiralize, a predictive A/B testing platform and full-service team helping B2B SaaS companies increase conversions. In this episode, we chat about Sahil's journey from client to CEO, the power of showing product visuals, crafting compelling headlines, making content skimmable, and strategies for optimizing landing pages. Let's dive right in. Hey Sahil, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I am well, Chris. Thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
No problem. So you are at a conference, and I was wondering, aren't you a bit drained? How can you have a podcast in the morning and then attend a conference as well?
The first thing is I'm a morning person. So even if I was a little drained, now is the best time to catch me.
No.
They are a little bit, I try to be pretty picky these days about which conferences I go to.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so I'm excited to jump into this. So why don't we start with some of your background? What led you to joining Spiralize?
So I have an interesting story. I was originally a early client of Spiralize at my last company where I was the CEO founder. And I saw what a big measurable impact it had. And I continued using it and had stayed in touch with the founder. And after I sold that business, I was thinking about my next chapter. And the founder had continued to do a great job building Spiralize. And he asked me to join him as his partner to take the company to the next level. And that was 2 years ago. And that's how I joined.
Nice. So I'm super curious about, and I try to ask my guest as well, about your value proposition. So I see that you say convert 30% more in 90 days guaranteed. So how do you get to that specificity? I'm curious about it.
How do we get the specificity on what the 30% lift is?
Yeah.
In that time frame?
Also,
Is that right?
Being
it's
able to guarantee that as well.
being able to guarantee it. Yeah, that's the hook. There's 2 parts there, and we're lucky because what we do is we do A/B testing. For everyone listening at home that may not be as familiar with it, A/B testing is a simple idea. You take, let's say, 2 versions. Let's say you had a shopping cart, and one says, "Buy now," and the other one says, "Buy now," and then right next to it, it says, "Free shipping." And what you do is you randomly, half of your audience sees one version of the button, and the other half of your audience, randomly assigned, gets the other version. And then you see, is there a difference in the outcome? Does the presence of that little free shipping get a few more people to buy? Now, I chose that. That's not necessarily the best or the worst example of an A/B test anyone should run, but it's a really nice, tangible example. Everyone probably has seen it, has probably been subject to someone's experiment to see if that gets them to buy. And you do that over and over until you get represent a big sample size so you can conclude, okay, hey, we can get 5% more people to buy because it's randomly assigned. Now we conclude this is a better way. Let's make that what everyone else sees. And then you do it over and over for all parts of the experience. That's A/B testing. The collection of the statistics is, in a sense, really easy because what we do on the web, whether it's in a mobile app, in a browser, wherever you're doing it, we can track whatever and measure. Here's how many people started the process. Here's how many people ended the process. What's the difference between the two? That's A/B testing. What we promise is that it turns out that there are 34,000 websites to A/B test. We scrape all of them to find the best A/B tests, and then we run them for our clients. That's why we can guarantee our results, because we have built a prediction engine that crawls the entire web and can actually say with confidence and in a statistically sound way, we know that if you have these 5 variables, these A/B tests are the ones you should run. Now, the interesting part is, because we're both a SaaS product and we have a service arm of the business, we actually will design, build, and run the tests for our customers. So we can say, look, we're gonna crunch the numbers. We're gonna identify the test most likely to have an impact on your business, and then we'll do the full execution. And you only pay us if we deliver the lift.
Yeah, totally. So like myself, you help B2B SaaS companies, right? And I was wondering,
That's right.
are there any patterns that you see specifically B2B SaaS that makes it, I don't know, maybe easier or different to run A/B tests for versus, say, e-commerce or service businesses?
That's a great question. If I heard it right, are there some predictable patterns of A/B tests that tend to perform really well in B2B SaaS? Is that right?
Yeah.
And the answer is definitely there. I'll share 3 really good ones, and they're ones that I think everyone at home can run for themselves and put into to practice and have measurable impact very quickly. The first is, and I'll go in order. The first is showing the product on anywhere on your website. I'll talk about some context here. Showing a picture of your product. Number 2 is a bold claim quantitative headline. So now we're moving to the headline on a page. And number 3 is making your content easy to skim. So let's unpack each of those. Showing your product. This is a well-documented way to get more conversions B2B SaaS. So many companies put pictures of happy people. If you go to their homepage, it's like people smiling, looking at you, or what appear to be pictures of who they think their customers are. So if they make software for restaurants, they show a picture of a restaurateur. It's okay, but it does very little to help the conversion rate. In fact, it probably hurts the conversion rate because it doesn't tell you, and when I say you, it doesn't tell your audience what you do. This is what people are coming to do. And I think a great way to think about this, Chris, let me ask you, can you think of the last automobile ad you saw? It could be in print, it could be on the internet, it could be on TV. Can you picture in your mind what it was?
Totally, because it's a car that
Yeah.
I own as well.
Do you remember like what brand, what kind of car it was for?
Yeah, it was the new Dodge Charger electric vehicle that they're making.
Okay. Dodge Charger. I love it. A muscle car.
Yeah.
And what was happening in the ad?
Yeah, so they basically
describe it?
they basically showed the founder, I think, or like the CEO. He was basically going back in time to meet up with the Dodge brothers in the 1920s. And he was saying, hey,
Okay.
like, the future is changing, right? We cannot like build V8s anymore. So we need to build the electric ones, but we're not going to build like the electric car that they want. We're going to build like a muscle electric car. So that was the positioning for that.
And did they show, I haven't seen this ad. Did they show pictures of the cars like over the?
Yeah, they were basically showing the cars and driving inside the new electric one.
Nice. So they're showing the experience of sitting inside the car. Perfect. Now imagine that same advertisement without the car. What would you be left with?
Yeah, people chatting, having a chat.
Just people chatting. Would you even know it was an automobile ad?
No, not at all.
Maybe you could piece it together, but safe to say it wouldn't be very compelling. I don't think it'd get anyone excited about buying a Dodge Charger. The same exact thing is true in B2B SaaS. Your audience is there because they're interested in your software. Now, you don't know exactly why, or you might have 10 products, or you might have 40 features, and which feature do they care about?
Mm.
You don't know. Big audience, they're here for different reasons. What you do know is the product image of the software shows them something cool. It gets them interested. And we've seen this test run hundreds and hundreds of times. On average, it beats the control 52% of the time.
Mm.
And when it wins, it gets a 19% conversion lift. It's incredibly powerful. Just by showing the product instead of showing happy people or some complicated diagram of how your product fits into some ecosystem. Just a simple product screenshot works really well. So that's test number 1. Test number 2, quantitative, bold claim, quantitative. This is a great test to run on a homepage or a landing page. Your job, and your homepage has one and only one job. It's to hook your audience. It's not to get them to buy. It's not to explain your mission statement. By the way, no one cares about that. This is B2B SaaS. It's not to explain why you're even better than your competitors. It's not to tell people why they should invest in you. It is just to get them to stop scrolling, because there's a ton of noise out there and everyone has competitors. And the savvy buyer is looking probably at your competitors either right before or right after they come to you. And you've got about 1 second to hook them. So a bold claim that describes a benefit and makes it quantitative is really powerful. So I'll give you an example. Say you make financial reporting software, and your audience is mostly small business owners who today run their books on spreadsheet. Big market. And I worked with the client, and their original headline on their homepage said, all your financial reporting in one place. Now it's fine. It's got pretty good clarity. Like, it's financial reporting. Hey, you have it in one place. So presumably today you have 5 different spreadsheets or reporting packages. You're bringing it all together. Great. What's lacking there is a hook, something that excites you, that describes a benefit that you can grasp and go, okay, this is clearly something that draws my interest. I'm going to spend more than a second here and keep going. Here's the headline that I would test against it. Your book's 20% faster than spreadsheets. About the same amount of words. It's specific. It sets the stage in context. You're going to do something, close your books. Really important. Everyone has to do it every month. You're going to do it 20% faster. Now I'm being specific. It's credible. Compared to what? Spreadsheets. Right? Because if you're already on SAP, this probably maybe is as good, or maybe there's a different comparison point. But that's their value prop, is if you're the small business owner who uses spreadsheets, you can get 20 done faster. That headline, by the way, beat the control. Got more people to click in B2B SaaS. You're trying to get them to typically click that button that says, start your free trial, or talk to sales, or get a demo, or watch a demo, or get pricing. So a bold claim, quantitative. It's a really good test run. And by the way, you can run that. You don't need a lot of fancy software or big investment in design or software development to make a copy of your page and try that headline and see if it gets lift.
Cool.
Okay. Number 3 test that works really well is making the copywriting, all the text on your, let's take a paid landing page. You're running, so the content is, let me give you the answer first and I'll describe the context, is to make easy to skim content. We use a word we made up called skimmability. And skimmability is just a way of saying when someone comes to your webpage, they can easily go in a couple seconds, pick up okay, am I in the right place? Do I want to learn more? That's the job. And a landing page is a great example. B2B SaaS companies tend to spend a lot of money on, say, for example, with Google search ads, pay per click, and they send that traffic to a landing page, and the landing page is dense, has a wall of text, and the person has to spend the first few seconds just trying to figure out, okay, what is this trying to tell me? And a great test that we've seen perform really well on landing page is to take that wall of text and convert it into 3 easy to skim bullets. 3 is the magic number. 4 is too many, not enough. 3 is the magic number. 3 bullets, bold the first 3 or 4 words on each bullet, and each bullet should be no more than 2 lines, like 1 line break. This is a test we've seen perform really well. Beats the control about a third of the time, and when it wins, gets a 28% lift. It means 28% more people in the variant, when they see easy to skim content, convert, whatever conversion means for that each company. Again, B2B SaaS, it's usually start a free trial, get a demo, talk to sales, download the white paper, compared to the control.
Nice. I want to actually touch on each of these 3 with a couple more questions.
Yeah, let's dive deeper.
So the first one, you mentioned the visuals, right? I'm curious, how do you think about like visual as in like product screenshots versus say videos, which like can be 30 seconds to 1 minute videos, and interactive demos? So I actually had someone else who works at Navatic, like an interactive demo company, on the podcast, and they mentioned how there's like a dramatic increase in click-through rate from videos, which get like 3%, and interactive demos, they get 8% click-through rate. So how do you think about visual in terms of images, videos, and interactive demos?
Yeah, 3 things. Okay, so let's talk about product screenshots, just like a static image, a video. Usually it's some kind of quick explainer video that kind of gives a lot of context, and if it's well done, it can be really nice. And then interactive demos, something we've seen more and more in the last, I'd say, 2 years. Let's start with the last one, because I think it's really interesting, and what your other guest said, I think is absolutely true. I think there's 2 things that are happening here. 1, more and more buyers want to self-educate before they buy or even before they engage in the product. That's driven by a number of things, one of which is so many people have been burned by boring, irrelevant sales demos. They show up and it's just blah, 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 discovery call, nothing interesting. Oh my God, kill me now. So that's number 1. And number 2, the ability to go out and gather information, it's so much easier than it used to be. There's third-party sites like Gartner and G2 and Capterra, where you can read pretty much raw, unfiltered feedback about what other people have said about these products. So our audiences are all going out and doing the research long before they're saying, okay, hey, I'm going to raise my hand. I want to engage in your sales process or your buying process, whatever that process is. That's clearly happening. Number 2, I think just a generation now, we're now multiple generations into interacting through our phones and through the internet and text messaging. And God, who wants to talk on the phone to someone? Increasingly, that is very clear. We all prefer to talk less to humans than we used to. And that's certainly, as you go down the age scale, the younger demographic, that's more pronounced. So I think an interactive demo is a wonderful way to give your audience a way to self-serve, satisfy that need that is, I think, very clear. Hey, I want to find some things out for myself, because I can very quickly gauge, is your product remotely relevant for me? If I'm a big international company and I need complicated enterprise software that handles multiple languages and currencies, I need to know that this is who you serve. You serve the big market. On the other hand, if I'm an SMB, I have a totally different set of needs. I can judge that for myself, which must have much less friction.
Yeah.
So I think those demos are great. I would encourage everyone to you should at least try them. And what you'll often get is you'll get a higher quality sales leads because the people who do watch it and then say, oh, I'm in the right place. I want this big complicated software because I have those needs. I get it's going to cost more. It's going to be a more involved buying process and implementation process, but I'm the kind of company that needs that. So I think you'll get probably fewer leads, but better leads. And I think
Mhm.
that's a good outcome for most, maybe for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. Now, let me say, I don't think that's a substitute for driving people to then, after they watch that interactive demo, you got to have a great hook to say, okay, now take the next step. I think it's also important to still offer a fast path for your highest intent audience who maybe they've already done the research or they watched the demo last time. Don't make them sit through it again. Give them
Yeah.
that, hey, talk to us now, get a quote, get a demo, start your free trial, whatever that is. So I often like to test something called dual CTA. And you have a primary CTA that is for your highest intent audience. Get started now. And
Mhm.
you have a secondary CTA that's for your, I would call it your lower intent, maybe your middle intent audience. That could be watch a video or watch an interactive demo. Right? Both are really good. So that's the interactive demo. And I think there's some really good products on the market. And it sounds like you had a good host. And I think his data makes sense.
Mhm.
And certainly supported by the data we see. Okay, number 2, the video. Offer up a contrarian perspective, which is that video cannibalizes conversions. Here's why. First, YouTube has trained all of us to click on videos. So I would absolutely agree. I think I heard you say the data shows like click throughs or click rates, which by the way are not, those are, I would say at best, like secondary conversions. It's not a real,
Yeah, yeah.
clicks don't get you
It's a lead.
customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not even a lead though.
Mm.
It's maybe an audience
Okay.
at best, especially in B2B. Now, D2C, whole different story, but let's stick on B2B.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. YouTube has trained all of us when we see that little play button, we gotta click it because it's just our brains have been wired into it. But video is a huge distraction. It's a distraction from actually converting because your audience has a finite amount of attention. They come to your website and in a second or two, they're going to decide if they're staying. And if you give them a good hook, they're going to maybe spend a couple minutes on your website. Let's say their attention, their reservoir of attention, which is finite, is 2 minutes before they move on to the next thing. And they spend a minute of that watching your video. Probably not going to add to the tank because you might be the 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th website they visited. Maybe if you're lucky, you're the first, but you can't count on that. And so what we see, the data shows, the clicks are high on video, but the subsequent clicks of converting that attention into a sales lead, like someone that clicks and actually fills in the form, talk to sales or get a demo or start your free trial, is actually lower.
Mhm.
The worst thing to do is to put that video in a highly visible place where it's going to distract your high intent audience. So what I would do, and the test I would run, first of all, that doesn't mean video is bad or you shouldn't have video. I
Yeah.
want to be really clear. Video is really good. It's really engaging and it's great for educating your audience before they're ready to buy, or maybe even before they're ready to consider you. Wonderful. Okay, so just want to be super clear about that.
Mhm.
What I would do is if you have a homepage or you have a landing page, the job of that page is to first convert the highest intent audience. You want to give them a clear hook, you want to be easy to skim, and you want to take out all the friction. You want to give them just enough information. They go, yep, I'm in the right place. Okay, this is relevant. Let's do it. Instead of putting the video, which often goes in what marketers call the hero section of the page, that top section, I would instead test a static image of the product. Because what it does is it gives the person at a glance, okay, I'm in the right place. There's something really cool here. It looks modern. It looks sleek. It seems to do what I want, and I want to find out more. and then put that CTA or even put the form right next to the product screenshot.
Mhm.
I would then, and then I would take that video. By the way, I wouldn't remove the video. I would just move it below the fold, maybe to the first or second div. And the data we've seen is that gets more conversions of your higher intent audience. Your lower intent audience, that middle intent, low intent, they're going to scroll anyway. They're not ready to convert because they need more information. And they will take that 1, 2 vertical scrolls. They'll look at the video and go, oh, hey, I need more information because I'm not convinced yet. They'll watch the video. So now you get the best of both worlds. You get that high intent audience without distraction, and your lower intent audience, they're going to engage. They're absolutely going to click, and then it will lead them. If it's relevant to them, then they'll.
Yeah. Do you have any data on the difference between a video that's behind the click of a button, let's say watch video, or a video that's up front on the page?
I don't have video. I don't have data specifically on that use case.
Mm-hmm.
What I do have data on is that when we have tested static image compared to video
Mm-hmm.
in the hero section of a landing page, the static image of a product screenshot gets 15% more conversions.
Yeah.
So videos is very costly.
Yeah, makes sense. So probably, yeah, if you don't see that showing your product or in use, it's a priority. It's probably even better hiding it maybe behind like a link or a button.
Yeah, I would say you could do like again, primary CTA, dual
Yeah.
CTA, primary CTA, secondary CTA, watch video. But
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
put the video right in the hero because myself included, you just can't help it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So you mentioned those 30% increase with the A/B testing in your headline. So how, for
Right.
example, how did you come up with picking that 30% data point?
Oh, how did we pick it? Yeah,
Yeah.
great question. Okay. So I think you need 3 things there when you pick a number. It needs to be bold, right? I think if we had said 3% lift,
Mm.
not anyone gets excited about that.
Yeah.
It's got to be meaningful to the audience. Number 2, it has to be easy to understand. And number 3, it needs to be credible. They find it believable. The last 2 things I think are where people often get it wrong. Because, by the way, their data may even support this, that they deliver a 10x return. Or they reduce some kind of time to maybe they're using AI to generate video content, and they say, reduce video production time by 90. So they get a nice big number, they make a round number, like 90%. It's easy to understand, 90% less, 10x better. But our audience is cynical. They're skeptical. They've been 10x, promised 10x everything, and nothing ever turns out to be 10x. So the balance there is you need a number that gets their attention. I recommend round-ish numbers. You don't want to make them so complex. Let me take that back. I'm going to put it slightly different. That wasn't the right way to put it. You want to phrase the number in a way that someone can quickly get, okay, this works better for me. What I mean by that is if they have to do a calculation in their head, they have to do some mental gymnastics, you've lost them. So you got to make it easy to understand. But you have to make it believable. We've actually found that most of our clients get more than 30% lift in the first 90 days. The average is 38%, and we have a lot of clients that get upwards of 45%. The challenge is when you put numbers like that, I think they're less believable. It's just such a stretch. Like, how can anyone get me 45% anything in 90 days? It just doesn't seem believable. And so for us, like what we found is let's just make it simple. So our phrase is now we always start with a 90-day pilot. So even though our average lift that customers get is 38%, we rounded it down to 30%.
Yeah, to make it.
And yeah, it's easy. It's round.
To make it credible as well.
People often do. Yeah, what's interesting is our audience, and we're happy that they do this, Most of them assume what we do is we get them 10% every month for 3 months. Right? That's
Interesting.
90
Yeah.
days, right? They go, oh, 30% goes into 90. Okay, a third. That's not actually how it works, but it's fine because it makes intuitive sense to the audience. So there is a degree of divisibility that works in our
Mm.
favor. Now, I'll be the first to say, I don't think that means I'm not telling everyone to go out and find numbers that are easy to divide and have everyone say, okay, what you need. We don't tell our clients like, okay,
Yeah.
take your
The
number,
square root.
30% 90 days. Yeah, exactly. 20% in 50, 40 days or something. Like it has to be rooted in reality. But I'll tell you what doesn't work is when someone says 10x something. Just no one believes 10x.
Mm.
Or they mistake bold claim for which needs to be a benefit that your audience will get. And they confuse that with making a bold claim about themselves. So
Yeah.
they'll say the number one billing software for restaurants. That's not, let me be more clear, tends not to create lift because it's not about the customer, it's about you. And that's less interesting. Number two, no one believes you're number one about anything. There's a gajillion, last count, this conference I was at, and I've not verified this, said that there are 35,000 SaaS companies. There is no category where you're alone. Now, there are some really wonderful companies that have earned like a top rating from G2 or Capterra or Gartner in their category. You want to brag about that. And you say, voted number one by Gartner in this category. You have it. You should do it. That's incredible by all means. But if you have some kind of self-proclaimed, the number one billing software, yeah, I think it doesn't help your conversion. It probably hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Lastly, I want to touch on the skimmability aspect. So that's something that I work on as well in my copy wireframes. I always try to make the UX as well of the messaging kind of understandable and clear. And I wanted to ask, since especially in B2B, there are a lot of like buying committees, right? So you might have HR, the executives, CFOs, IT that look at the messaging of the copy. And I was wondering, how do you balance the skimmability with maybe more in-depth content that, I don't know, IT might want and need, right? So, some people are faster decision makers, others are like slower and need more detail and more methodical. So how do you balance that, and do you have any data on that?
So it's a great question. How do you write for multiple audiences?
Yeah.
Number one. And if you're trying to deliver highly skimmable content, at some point your audience needs more than sound bites and listicles. They need some depth, some substance. Yeah, you can't just make it all bullets. So the visual hierarchy that I recommend is start with big, bold, easy to skim. And as you go down the page, provide more depth.
Mm.
So at the top, you should be like, hey, an attention getter, and give me 3 reasons why I should believe that whatever you did to hook my attention. And it needs to be quick because if I don't buy it, I might say don't buy it. If I don't believe it, I'm going to leave. That's in the hero section. So, big headline, 3 bullets, interesting image. That's the recipe. Don't put a whole bunch of other stuff. Don't try and appeal to every part of your buying committee because you end up then with mishmash and it's dense and it's impossible to skim. And what you do is no one can figure out what the hell you do. You go one vertical scroll down, what digital marketers and software is called the first div. Then you add more detail. Then you go one more div down and you add even more detail and you can give the option of clicking then to a page where you can have like long form content. So I should give the context here. If you're talking about a homepage or a landing page, that's the visual hierarchy I would follow. Now, when you
Yeah.
get into more like solution pages, I still think it's a good framework. Now, solution pages or product detail pages, those tend to lend themselves more to long form reading or long form content. You still can make it skimmable, by the way, and still follow the hierarchy. First, give people the so what, give them the bullets, then provide more detail. But on a homepage or a landing page, you want to start your audience's attention. It will reward you. They will reward you if you make it easy to skim.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So speaking of messaging, you have an interesting framework that I saw from you, which is the hook, mirror, ladder. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. Yeah. Hook, mirror, ladder. So this is all about especially paid landing pages. So you run an ad on Google search engine, pay-per-click type of ad. And most companies spend a lot of time thinking about the ad. They have an agency, they're doing A/B testing on the ad, they're trying different headlines, what gets people to click, and they greatly underinvest in the landing page experience. A lot of them, they're spending $20, $30, $50,000 a month, and they're sending the traffic to their homepage or to a poorly constructed landing page. And they're wondering why it doesn't convert. Oh, this channel doesn't work. Oh, we get poor quality traffic. Might be true, but you should first optimize your landing page. So the hook, the mirror, and the ladder is a framework for optimizing your paid landing page. It should do three things. First, they get the hook that's on your ad, and you want to mirror it, which means you want to repeat it on your landing page. And you want to ladder it, you want to place it prominently at the top of the page. It's ideally the main headline, what digital marketers call the H1. It's usually the biggest font, largest headline on a landing page. Because what it does is it orients your audience and it tells them, okay, you promised me something. And when I walk in the door, metaphorically, you're delivering that promise right away. And it's such a simple thing, but it's amazing how many people now. Well, let's talk about how you put that into action. I was working with a client as CMO, and he said, "Okay, does that mean because I haven't quite figured out which of my 4 ads I'm running an A/B test on the ads, which one perform this? Do I need to create 4 landing pages?" No. If you have the resources to do it, go ahead. But for most, the practical thing is what you should first do is optimize your ads to get clicks.
Yeah, makes sense.
And once you find your best performing ads, then optimize your landing pages to turn those clicks into conversions.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so we talked about the hook. What about the mirror and the ladder?
Yeah, so the mirror just means you repeat the hook on the landing page.
Okay, got it.
If your ad is something like, I'm trying to think of an example. This isn't great, but stop 80% of day 0 vulnerabilities. This is like cybersecurity software.
Cybersecurity.
Okay. Yeah. Stop 80% of day 0 vulnerabilities. That's a great hook, right? Who doesn't want that? Ooh, they're day 0. That means they're leading edge. If I click on that ad, I want to see that hook. Stop 80% of day 0 vulnerabilities. That needs to be mirrored on the landing page. The exact words or something very close to it. And then the ladder just means you want to ladder it up at the top of the page. Don't put it halfway down the page. Don't put it in small font. Don't put it in the bottom right corner of the hero. Top left, which is where everyone's eye goes, the top left of the page. Repeat that headline verbatim because it orients people. I think about it like when I'm driving down the highway and there's a billboard for a restaurant and it'll say something, right? And it's got to be short and snap because I'm whizzing by at 80 miles an hour. It's something simple about that. And I go, oh, I'm hungry. Okay, let me pull over at the next exit and go in. Whatever the promise was on that billboard, as soon as I walk in the restaurant, it better be there. And I don't want to have to look for it. I don't want to think about it. I don't have to ask someone if it offers, I don't know, Chick-fil-A has a new dessert for the summer. Where I live in Atlanta, Georgia, Chick-fil-A is very popular. And they have this new, it's like a lemonade flavored ice cream. And it was on the billboard. When I walk into Chick-fil-A, they do a great job. There's a big sign in the lobby that says our new, and it's not by accident. That was on the billboard. That's what's in. If I walked into Chick-fil-A and there's no mention of it, now I'm disappointed. By the way, it may still be there, but do I want to stand in line and then get to the guys, hey, or do you have the news? And they go, yeah, it is. I'm sure some people are going to be willing to do that, but you're going to lose a lot of people. That's the hook, the ladder, and the mirror.
Got it. All right. So yeah, I think context and expectations are two things that are super important with messaging copy as well, right? And the other thing that was interesting I wanted to ask you was about calls to action, specifically call to action copy. So you might have a call to value, which can be more of like a benefit oriented copy in a button, right? And there's more like call to action, which is like book a demo or get pricing and so on. So how do you think about the difference between calls to value and call to action? Which one do you think works best and where?
Chris, give me a little more context. What's an example of call to value?
Yeah, an example might be, I don't know, if you have a project management software, the copy in the button can be save 2 hours of your time, something like that. A call to action is book a demo to try the product.
Yeah, so I think both are really important. I try to put calls to value in the headline. I think that's a great hook. Manage your products, get projects done 20% faster. It's a call to value.
Yeah,
I think that's a great hook. I think you pair it with almost always then the call to action, the CTA, should be as simple as possible. Get started,
direct.
get a demo, start your free trial. There are certainly some exceptions, but generally the more clever or complicated that the CTA is, the worse it performs.
Yeah.
You don't want people to have to think about what this means.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Lots of good stuff. My last question was about AI. Do you use AI for A/B testing, or because I'm super curious, I use it a lot for my work, and I wanted to see, are there any patterns that you see as well in A/B testing with AI? Or
So yes, we use AI, definitely. We use AI primarily as a way to gain efficiency in what we do. So I think AI is great for pattern recognition, consuming large amounts of data, helping to distill the patterns, and it performs better when you train it, spend the time training it. So, we certainly were doing these things like everyone else before AI. So I think we have a really good set of inputs because we had to do it the old-fashioned way
Yeah.
through brute force. And now AI lets us do those things faster. We also find that AI is great for generating first drafts of copywriting. So you can say, hey, take this landing page, rewrite it in a way that's easy to skim, bullet points for this reading level, for this audience, and it will produce a really good first draft. And we get, I'd say, time to first draft is much faster with AI. And then we definitely have humans produce the final version.
Yeah. Do you use it for coming up with line variants as well?
We use it for brainstorming headline variants, yes.
Yeah. The brainstorming part is an important one because
I would encourage everyone to do that. Yeah. I mean, the AI can be a great co-pilot.
Yeah,
a great
absolutely.
partner and brainstorm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Sahil. It's been super helpful.
You're
super deep,
welcome.
and maybe a bit too nerdy, but we'll see. I loved it.
Hey, this is stuff I love to talk about. I'm lucky
Yeah.
I get to do something that I enjoy doing. So I could talk all day
Exactly.
about this, and you've been a great host.
Cool. Awesome. So where can people find you? So on LinkedIn, I guess, spiralize.com is your website. Where else?
Yeah, two ways. On LinkedIn is the best way to find me. I post every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. But quick, easy to skim content about conversion rate optimization, 1-minute video with it. And if you're interested in what Spiralize does, spiralize.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, the best thing you could do to support the show and help me as a small business owner would be to leave a review. Head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and let me know what you think. If you don't want to miss future episodes, subscribe, and if you have any feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episodes, just hit me up on LinkedIn at Christopher Silvestri or Twitter at SilvestriChris. Speak to you next time.